This week on Payne-ted Plastic.
Nope. Hey everybody, welcome back to Payne-ted Plastic. Brandon here, and we have episode 5 of the X-Wing build. In the last episode we got the pilot all painted up, blah blah blah, just like that. Time to move on to the ship itself. The base colors have been done. Everything is pretty much the way I want it. We're going to do a whole lot more work to it, so it's not completely done. So for this one, I wanted to start with some of the details. This is the cockpit, and I don't know if you can even focus on that, but we're going to just kind of pick out some of the details, do a little dry brushing, and yeah, kind of get that going. This is the forward instrument panel, and we're just gonna kind of pick out some of those little details. There are decals that go on these instrument panels, but since I'm putting lights on them, I don't really want to use those. I just want to kind of highlight some of the details. But yeah, we're gonna do some dry brushing for that. So for the dry brushing, I know I've done it in other videos, but if this is your first time seeing it, it's super easy to do, and it's a lot of fun. It adds a lot of interest. So for that, I've just got a grubby old brush. This is just it's an old brush. You can see the bristles are frayed, and yeah, grubby old brush. And I'm going to be using some chrome silver, right? This is X11 Tamiya chrome silver. So, and I need a paper towel. I didn't get a paper towel. You guys know I'm never ready. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab a paper towel. Alright, sorry about that, y'all. Paper towel. I'm just going to leave that off to the side because it destroys the white balance. So, yep. For dry brushing, give it a good shake. For dry brushing, it's really straightforward. What we're going to do, get a little paint on the brush right out of the lid, right? Not going to thin it or anything like that. And then on the paper towel, just wipe off the majority of the paint. Now there's still paint in the bristles, but the vast majority has been wiped out. And then we're going to lightly and kind of focusing on the edges, just kind of wipe across. All right, very lightly, almost no pressure, and you'll see it'll just begin to kind of pick out the raised portions, right? And again, I'm using almost no pressure. I'm just barely touching the surface. But go from different directions, you'll pick out different edges. And if a little drags across, that's fine too. It just looks like a little more edge wear. So just gonna do this across the entire instrument panel. I don't even know if you guys can see what I'm doing. I hope you can. Since this is gonna have the lights and stuff in it, I didn't really want to put the stickers on. The lights would probably show through the stickers, but I don't know for sure, especially because this is the first time I've ever done fiber optics in a build, so I'm not sure how they'll work with with decals over top. Maybe on another build I'll experiment with that a little bit. But as you can see, just really quickly you start getting some really nice details popping out, and it's a really simple technique. I love dry brushing. I use it. I mean, it's a technique that I use pretty frequently, especially for stuff like this where I just want a little bit of detail, but I don't want to necessarily paint the whole thing, But just like that, right? I don't know if you can even, is that even focusing? I don't know if it's even focusing. But yeah, that's about all I want to do with that. Same thing with this. We've got a couple of little instrument panels here on the side. I'm just going to grab some of the edges on that, pick them out, barely touching. As Bob Ross would say, three hairs and some air. But yeah, just like that. Maybe I'll do a little across the top of these pipes, just to give them a little definition. Actually, I'm going to get a little bit more paint. Reload the brush and wipe it off. Like I said, the vast majority of that paint is coming off on the paper towel, so that you just have a little bit. I mean, that's, you know, dry brush. That's kind of, the name implies that you're not using a wet brush, but really easy technique. Yeah, just to give you an idea, when this is all finished up, let's see, how's that going there? Just like that. So that'll be in something like, oh wait a minute, duh. So that'll be in like that, and that's all you'll really see of the cockpit, right? So yeah, that's dry brushing, and as you can see, it just gives a little bit extra flavor to the cockpit, right? Nothing too massive, nothing too over the top, but just a little something extra. The other thing I want to do, and it's going to be kind of tricky because I glued the seat down. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that, but I glued the seat down. So it's going to be tricky to get in there, but we're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. All right, 2 colors here for the seat. I'm going to do a base coat of red brown, and then I'm going to dry brush over that with desert yellow. It'll just give some highlights to the seat. I should have my mixer. I'll get my mixer next time we're painting. Got a little paintbrush, and get a little bit of this paint, and let's go in for the seat. Like I said, it's going to be tricky because for some reason I glued this thing in place. Still not sure why I did that, but you know, do what you do. Am I on camera? Nope. And I'm just going to put a really light coat of this brown. Like I said, I'm going to do some dry brushing over top of it, so I'm not too concerned with it being a perfect coat. And this might need a second coat. We'll see. We'll see once it's dry. If it, you know, if I've got pretty good coverage, I may just roll with it and do the dry brushing over top, or I may go back in and hit it again. There we go. There's a brown seat. So I'm going to give that just a second. In fact, I may hit it with the hairdryer just to keep things moving a little bit. But essentially, that's all I'm going to do for the cockpit. Well, I'm going to dry brush. You know, I'll be dry brushing the seat after this, but no more detail painting really to speak of. So give me just a second. I'm going to hit this with the hairdryer, and we'll see if it needs another coat. Be right back. All right, everybody, I hit this with the hairdryer, and I don't know if it's going to show, but I'm pretty happy with that single coat. You can still see some of the black showing through, which I'm okay with because it adds a little bit of, you know, interest to the piece, a little bit of wear to the seat. So I'm just going to jump right in with the desert yellow, and like I said, I want to do a little dry brushing across that seat to give it a little more wear. Same thing as the silver, right? Get a little paint right on the brush and wipe it all off. And across the top, I put a little bit, across the side. Should probably have a smaller brush for this, but that's all right. Put a little right in the kind of the seat area. Looks like it's been set on and worn. But yeah, that's about all I want to do. Like I said, it's very subtle. I don't even know if it's going to show up in the video, but in person you can see there's variations in the color now. So that's going to be it for the cockpit, I think. We'll head over to the paint booth and we will spray some clear. Be right back. Alright everybody, over here at the paint booth. For these throwaway coats, I like to use the Pledge Floor Care. It's a really nice product. You spray it neat through the airbrush. I've just, dumped it into a little bottle here. But yeah, like I said, you spray it neat. I've got my pressure set at about 18, 19, something like that. And we'll jump right in here with the wing assembly. For this stuff, just like when you're painting, the first coat is a really light, misty coat. Just kind of get something on the surface. Give that a few minutes to tack off and go back in. And usually with, 2, maybe 3 coats, you can get a really nice finish with this. Incidentally, the reason we're doing a gloss coat now is I'm going to do some decals in the next stage, and the gloss just lets the decals adhere a little better. This is the cockpit, and there's not going to be any decals here, but the reason I'm doing it is for the weathering stage. Just kind of seals all the paintwork in. Moving in here to the fuselage, this is the lower fuselage, and same thing again, just light coat, and then go back over it. Going into the upper fuselage. Those little red pieces, there were a few pieces on the kit that were red that I did not paint, simply because the stickers will match them perfectly if I don't paint them, so they were left unpainted. There's I don't know, there's like 3 or 4. But yeah, that's pretty much the gloss coat. Really straightforward, really easy to work with. Yeah, so let's head back over to the bench and start with some decals. Be right back. Alright everybody, let's do some water slides. Got the upper fuselage here. There's, as you can see, there are a million stickers, so I'm just going to do 1 or 2 here, kind of show you how it's done, and then I'll do the rest of them off camera because it's going to take a while. So yeah, we'll just start with this yellow up at the top of the nose. So first one is number 2. Ordinarily I would paint these, but to kind of keep things moving, I'm just going to use the water slides. If you wanted to paint all these panels, you absolutely can. Alright, let's dunk that in the water. As far as tools, of course I've got a pot of just warm water and my tweezers, reverse grip tweezers, blade, right? Got some Q-tips and a little paintbrush, and then I've also got some micro set and micro saw just off camera. So that's really all you need for water slides. Set that down for a second. I'm going to start with micro set and just dab a little bit of that right where the decal is going, mainly because there are some details, right, and I want to make sure that the water slide really gets into those details. So we will slide that off, maybe just like that. and kind of adjust it into place. Get a little bit of water under there. There we go. And it's just a matter of moving it around, getting it where you want it. Something about like that. Now take the when you're using your Q-tip, you just want to roll across the top, right? Don't want to drag it because that will move the decal. Just very light pressure and roll across. All you're doing is trying to siphon out any water that's stuck underneath the decal, right? And that looks a little bit off center. There we go. That doesn't look bad. There we go. Give it another little squeegee real quick, just to get it all out. Don't want any water trapped. All right, then we'll go in with the micro saw. Now what this will do is kind of flatten it all out, and also it really helps. There's a little groove right in here, and the micro saw will soften it and allow it to kind of sink into that groove. So you just paint this right across the top. You know, no real pressure because you don't want the decal to wiggle, but just paint that right across the top and let it dry. All right, next we have number 4. Give that a dunk. And while that's doing its thing, I'm going to get micro set and just dab a little bit right where this decal's going, which is right here. And let's see, it's gonna go like that, and then we'll just line it up. All right, and squeegee it out. And micro saw again, and just paint it on the decal itself. Don't try not to get it all over the place. And you know, once this dries, you may find, you know, that you want to paint it again, that it didn't quite lay down as flat as you'd like it. That's fine. You can go back over it. Go back over it and make sure it's exactly the way you want it. Let's do one more. Next one will be number 7, which is this long yellow. You know, a lot of people get intimidated by water slides, and they're not really, you know, it's not really that much more complicated than a regular sticker. You know, and it's a little more forgiving because you can move them around, and you know, if you don't like the placement, get it wet, it'll move again. You know, not till you put a top coat on it is it really finished. You know what I mean? Is it really sealed? So on this one, it's gonna go right here. Just put a dab. Just put a dab on there. And let's see. Is this ready yet? Not yet. Almost. You know, I have seen modelers, instead of using water, just using microset and painting it on the back of the decal. And, you know, that's all well and good, but it will soften the decal quite a bit. So you have to be quick and you have to be careful. But it is possible to do it just with microset. I've seen it done several times. I personally don't like to do it just because it softens the decal so much, but you know. All right. And once again, just squeegee out all the water. Just like that. And finish it off with a little micro saw. You know, really, you should have one brush for microset and one brush for micro saw, but you know, I just wipe it off on my pants, you know. But yeah, really, it shouldn't mix. And same thing, just paint it across the top. Being careful not to drag, not to move the decal. But that'll just set it down. Even it out. I'll put a little bit more up here where that groove is, because I really want that to sink down into that groove. All right. So that's basically how water slides work. I know I've done them before, but you know, might be the first time somebody's seen them. So I am going to go off and do the rest. All right, there's like a million. I don't know. There's a bunch. I'm gonna go off and finish all those. When the decals are all finished, the ship will get another blast of clear coat. Right, it'll just be the same thing we just did. It'll be the pledge, just to seal all these decals in. And after that, we will probably start some of the assembly. Get the lights in place, get the ship assembled, and then do some weathering to kind of finish it off. So yeah, it's moving right along. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And until the next episode, thanks for hanging out. Bye-bye.